Ever get the feeling like what we call reality is just the tip of something much weirder? That's kind of the vibe I get when I look at Liber CDX8. It's not like picking up some dusty old spell book. This thing, it's like reading a cosmic fever dream.
Yeah, it's definitely not your average bedtime story, I'll tell you that much. We're talking pronouncements coming from somewhere beyond us, visions that would make anyone, even a saint, I think, question their sanity. And angels.
Mm.
Well, let's just say these aren't the kind of angels you see on holiday greeting cards.
From the very beginning, the images, they're so intense. We're talking broken obelisks, stars crashing into each other, light being swallowed up by this abyss. It's almost as if we're witnessing the end of everything, right?
I think that's what makes the opening of Liber CDX8 so powerful. It's that sense of finality. It's not just describing an event, it's like total cosmic earthquake. And this Eye of Shiva opening, it's a concept borrowed from Hindu mythology. It represents this incredible force, this force of both creation and destruction. Like the universe as we know it is being completely unmade.
And throughout it all, there's this book, this mysterious book, always sealed, always hinted at, but never fully opened. It's like this knowledge, this forbidden knowledge, is just too powerful for us to handle.
That's the sense you get, right? The text itself seems to be saying, hey, there's some serious power in these mysteries. It's like a warning. You need to be ready. You need to prepare your mind and spirit before you can even begin to understand these things.
Okay, so we have this universe on the brink of collapse. We've got whispers of forbidden knowledge, and then enter the angels. But these aren't exactly your typical benevolent beings, are they?
Not quite. Each one of these angels is linked to a specific direction, a color, a symbol. It adds this whole other layer of, well, complexity to the text. And they don't really give off that comforting vibe, do they, these angels? It's less about guidance and more about guarding. Like they're protecting gateways to something deeper, something potentially dangerous.
Like that angel in the east, the one holding that blood-red book, covered in those weird Enochian characters.
Yeah.
Not exactly handing out halos and playing harps, is he?
No, not at all. And then there's that mention of a swastika. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, we need to remember the historical context here. This isn't about the symbol the Nazis used. No, this is something much older. It's a representation of these ancient cosmic forces, this cycle of creation and destruction. It's a powerful symbol.
So we're not talking hate symbols here, but something that represents the ever-turning cycles of existence.
Exactly. Liber CDX8 is tapping into a much older and more nuanced understanding of the swastika. It's this idea of cosmic forces and cyclical change. It's all connected.
Okay, so we've got a sense of an ending, a universe laid bare, these mysterious angels and this ancient symbol pointing towards these larger cycles, and we're just getting started. One thing that really stood out to me was this whole idea of the 29 airs, or the ethers. It's like levels in some cosmic video game, each one with its own challenges and rewards. What are these airs all about?
That's not a bad way to think about it. Each air is like a level of being, a level of experience, maybe even consciousness itself. The text suggests that these airs hold these profound truths, but accessing them, well, it's not easy.
And we get a taste of that in the Cry of the 29th Air, don't we? And it sounds terrifying.
Oh, it's definitely intense. This voice, it describes this voice so powerful, so fundamentally potent, that it shakes the very foundation of existence. Stars tremble. The fabric of reality, it's like it quivers. It's a glimpse into the sheer magnitude of what the seer is experiencing.
It kind of makes you wonder what kind of preparation would it take to face that power, that kind of knowledge. It's mind-boggling.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. But here's the interesting thing. Liber CDX8 doesn't just throw us into these cosmic depths without a lifeline. These recurring symbols, the trials, those cryptic pronouncements, they're clues. They're guideposts on this journey through these mysteries.
So we're not just along for the ride. We're supposed to be deciphering these clues, putting the pieces together. But where do these pieces lead? I guess we'll have to keep going to find out.
When we really start digging into Liber CDX8, it becomes pretty clear that this isn't just about passively observing these cosmic visions, right? It's like this active process, these trials, these transformations, the seers being pushed to their absolute limit.
It's like they say, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but on a cosmic scale in this case.
Exactly. And throughout these trials, we keep seeing these powerful symbols popping up, the rose, the cross, the bull, eagle. They appear and reappear, and their meanings seem to shift and evolve as the seer progresses.
So it's not as simple as just looking up these symbols in like a mystical dictionary or something. Their meaning depends on where they appear in the seer's journey, the context of these trials.
Right. Take the rose, for example, this classic symbol of purity, spiritual attainment, and all that. But in Liber CDX8, The rose isn't just given to the seer. It's earned through struggle,
Mm.
through confronting these terrifying and sublime forces.
That reminds me of that earlier image of the lion swallowing those angels, and then it itself is subdued. Is that another example of this trial and transformation process?
Absolutely. The lion often symbolizes strength, this primal power. It's like this raw, untamed spiritual hunger. It devours, consumes, it wants to absorb everything in its path, but then it's subdued. It suggests a kind of mastery over these primal forces.
Yeah.
And the seer, they don't come out of this encounter destroyed. Instead, they're transformed. They've integrated these raw energies.
And then we have the lamb, which at first seems to represent innocence purity, almost the complete opposite of that ferocious lion. But then the text connects it to seduction danger. It's kind of a head scratcher.
It is, and it's a crucial point. Liber CDX8, it's like it wants to challenge our expectations, to show us that even things that seem pure and innocent can have a shadow side.
Hmm.
In this context, the lamb might represent the dangers of naive idealism, of being seduced by appearances in the spiritual realm.
So it's a reminder that even when you're on this spiritual path, discernment is key. You can't just blindly follow every shiny light or comforting image you come across.
Exactly. And this leads us to one of the most puzzling encounters in the entire text. The being on that desolate black marble throne. This figure surrounded by emptiness, speaking in this taste language that the seer just can't understand. It's really unsettling.
Like some kind of ultimate cosmic riddle. But instead of a sphinx asking questions, it's this silent, imposing figure communicating in a way that makes absolutely no sense.
And that's the point, I think. This encounter seems to represent the limits of human understanding, this vastness of what we simply don't know. Despite their best effort, the seer can't decipher this taste language. It's like the text is saying, hey, there are some mysteries that are beyond our current ability to grasp.
It's kind of humbling in a way.
Yeah, it is. Liber CDX8. It doesn't shy away from confronting us with the sheer vastness of the cosmos and the limitations of how we perceive things. But it's not meant to be a message of despair. It's more like a call to approach these mysteries with humility, to recognize that true understanding is a process. It's ongoing.
Okay, so we've got trials, transformations, symbols with these shifting meanings, and these encounters that push the seer to the edge of understanding. Intense is an understatement. But where is all of this leading? We're getting into the final part of the text now, right?
We are. And this is where Liber CDX8 introduces us to two incredibly important figures. Two figures who embody the very forces of creation and existence itself. Nuit and Hadit.
Okay, let's talk about these two, Nuit and Hadit. Who are they and what role do they play in this whole cosmic drama? Okay, so last time we were talking about Nuit and Hadit. Sounds like they're key players in this whole Liber CDX8 cosmology.
They're definitely central. Nuit and Hadit are essential to Thelemic cosmology. For those who might not be familiar, it's a system of thought and practice that emerged in the early 1900s. It draws from different traditions, Hermeticism and Kabbalah, but with a unique take on spirituality and the nature of reality.
So where do Nuit and Hadit fit into all of this? What do they represent?
Nuit is often described as the night sky, this infinite space, the very essence of limitlessness. She represents this kind of ecstatic surrender, this dissolving of the self into the vastness of existence. And Hadit is a point, a spark of consciousness, pure focused will at the heart of everything.
So it's like that classic duality, the infinite and the finite, the feminine and the masculine, the macrocosm and the microcosm.
Exactly. And Liber CDX8 suggests that these two seemingly opposite forces aren't separate, but intertwined, constantly interacting. Their union, as it's described in the text, it's a source of both creation and destruction. It's a reminder that even in this vast cosmos, even the smallest spark can create incredible change.
Okay, so we've got this powerful duality, this dance between the infinite and the finite. And then there's that incredible vision of the rose with its 49 petals. The text goes into so much detail. The colors, those opalescent rings, the flames. It's incredibly vivid. What's the significance of this rose? Does it relate to Nuit and Hadit?
That's a great question. And it gets to the heart of how LiPDX8 weaves together these complex ideas. The rose, with its layers of petals and its connection to beauty and this unfolding, it seems to represent the blossoming of consciousness itself. It's definitely a symbol of spiritual attainment, but not something that's separate from those trials and transformations we talked about earlier.
So it's not just about reaching some static state of enlightenment, but more about a continuous process of unfolding, of encountering and integrating these seemingly opposing forces.
You got it. The rose. It's both beautiful and delicate. It can inflict pain with its thorns. It embodies that balance between creation and destruction, light and darkness that we see throughout Liber CDX8. It reminds us that even the most beautiful and transcendent experiences come with challenges, potential for growth,
Mm.
and pain.
It makes you think about that earlier warning about the lamb, how even innocence and purity can be deceiving. Liber CBX8 seems to be urging us to look deeper, to question what we think we know about good and bad, light and dark.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another crucial part of the text, the warnings against revealing the secrets of the aethers, this emphasis on preparation, on understanding before you try to access this kind of profound knowledge.
It's like that old saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Or maybe in this case, it's more like a lot of knowledge without the wisdom to handle it. That's the dangerous thing.
That's it, exactly. And that's a major takeaway from Liber CDX8, this idea that knowledge without understanding power, without responsibility. It can be really destructive. The text even ends with this ominous prophecy about a coming eon of wonders, with servants of the star and the snake, bringing both destruction and the potential for radical transformation.
Well, that doesn't sound too cheerful, but it sounds like it's less about predicting a specific future and more about highlighting the consequences of our choices, how we choose to use knowledge and power.
That's how I see it. Liber CDX8. It's suggesting that the future isn't fixed. It's shaped by the choices we make, the paths we take.
It makes you wonder if these visions were a reflection of the seer's own mind grappling with these cosmic mysteries. What does that tell us about our own consciousness? Do we all have the potential to access these depths, to face these challenges and come out transformed?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? And maybe, just maybe, Liber CDX8, with all its cryptic language and challenging imagery, is inviting us to find out for ourselves.
That's quite the invitation, but I have a feeling our listeners are up for the challenge. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the mysteries of Liber CDX8. It's a text that still sparks debate and inspires people to explore even after all this time. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.